So Drake's album just came out recently. It's called Nothing Was the Same. It's been doing killer numbers, but on top of that, it's been getting killer reviews. Now, whether you like them or not, I think it's pretty safe to say that we already have a contender for Album of the Year. Definitely a contender for Rap Album of the Year. But the question is, does Drake deserve that when we've had a whole year full of killer albums? Let's talk about it on the low end. Welcome to The Low End, your weekly source for hip-hop discussion and all that drama. This is your host, Matthew, and today we're going to be discussing Drake's breakthrough album. Well, maybe not breakthrough, because this is in fact his third consecutive /1 on Billboard. It's Nothing Was the Same, as y'all know. Let me just hit you with a couple of facts before we get into the main discussion. Right now, Metacritic is sitting at 81 over 100, which is critical acclaim. It's just barely up in there, but Billboard, it dropped at #1, top of the charts. So 675,000 in the first week, and the only album that came out this year with a bigger launch week was Justin Timberlake's 2020 Experience Part 1. Both dropped at #1, but the 2020 came in at 968,000 albums, first sale. Now that is crazy. That shit is bananas. And it's even more crazy that Drake got that 3 times in a row. This is his third time at the #1 charts, like I said. No, that's everything. That's not hip-hop. It's not pop. That's everything. So let me introduce my two co-hosts. We got Demarius and Ron. And Demarius, what do you think about that? Is it crazy that he had that kind of sale this first week?
I mean, honestly, over 600,000 to even sell 100,000 these days, where you can just download music instantly. I mean, over 500,000 is beyond crazy. Even though Justin did sell almost 1 million records his first week, it's still just crazy to even sell over 200,000 in your first week these days.
Yeah. Well, Ron, like I said, he had the top 3, or he had 3 that were #1 albums consecutively. How often does that happen to you? I mean, like, have you ever heard of that happening?
I mean, it rarely happens. I mean, we're talking about Drake here. He appeals to everybody. He appeals to females, guys, whites, black, everyone. He talks about real stuff. I mean, I'm giving credit to where credit's due. I mean, Drake is that guy right now, and the album was pretty tight.
So you actually copped the album, didn't you, Ron?
I actually leaked the album. I leaked it, and I say it was pretty straight. I mean, I can't hate on the guy. I'm not a part of those sales though. I'm not really a Drake fan, but I say that majority of the tracks on the CD are pretty hot.
Okay, so which one are you feeling right now?
Worst behavior.
Worst behavior.
Worst behavior and the language.
Remember?
Hold on.
Motherfuckers never loved us.
Remember? But Drake went in on that track, man. I mean, he really showed us like he's serious about what he do, and like nobody really remember him. Like when we're coming up from Degrassi, even though like he came up with Lil Wayne and Birdman and things like that. I mean, people like that, but he just pretty much went in on that track. And plus the language was a pretty good hit too. And Hold On, We're Going Home, which the video just dropped like 2 days ago. I already got like 1 million views. I mean, it was a great video to come out with. I say he's doing pretty good for himself.
Yeah. It had that Miami Vice kind of 80s feel, which really matches the tone of the song.
Right.
I think, because I was reading a review and I think it was NPR, and they were saying that Hold On, We're Going Home sounds a lot like Toto from the 80s. It's got that synthetic drums.
Got that type of feel.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? I mean, Drake has always kind of been a standout from Young Money. And just recently there was some rumors of beef between them when he kind of stepped aside to start his own label, OVO.
Right.
What do you think is it that has made Drake such a kind of mercurial artist compared to the other likes of Young Money? Like even Nicki Minaj is not enjoying the same levels of success and fame that Drake is, which is not to throw any kind of shade on her, but you know, what is it that you think lets Drake like kind of step into these weird ways where he can appeal to the R&B groups, he can appeal to the pop groups, he can appeal to the real hip hop heads? What is it?
No homo, but sex appeal and the way that he's versatile. He comes out with different tracks. Like let's take Headlines for one. Headlines was like a rap track, but it had this creative beat that appealed to everybody, and everybody wanted to bump that track. But then he come out with Crew Love, and it really wasn't that big of a. I say it was like a pop track, and that appealed to everybody. And Rihanna was on track, so it was pretty good, man. I just think he's more versatile with everybody, and he talks about relationships. Who don't go through relationship problems?
It's definitely
Everyone.
It's definitely relatable. He definitely speaks for both the males and the females. Not saying that Nicki Minaj wouldn't it, but Nicki Minaj is more for, the females. It's more relatable to the females. Whereas Drake can actually discuss relationships, discuss success, and all that kind of stuff through the perspective of, yes, he's a male, but he can also market himself to males and females in a way that it's substantial.
I mean,
more so than Nicki Minaj.
Speaking of Nicki Minaj is more of a hip hop pop artist. She's trying to do this Lil' Kim thing, so whereas she's selling her body rather than selling her music. Mm-hmm. And I would say Nicki Minaj is way better on collabos. She's way better on collaborations. Where Drake can do collaborations, he can make his own hit, he can sing, he has a lot of things going for him.
She has no presence.
No diss to Nicki Minaj. That's the facts.
Okay. Well, Drake, of course, really started out, I think where he really started to get a lot of that underground kind of buzz, whereas this is not just some other, flash in the pan dude, was when he was working with The Weeknd.
Right.
And of course, recently they said, they still on good terms, but they're not really going to be working together too much. What do you think about that, especially when they had that OVO fest just a little bit ago?
Talking to me.
Whoever wants to jump on it. It seems like to me they had a very good thing set up. They had a very clearly established R&B dude, and then they had a very clearly established hip hop dude. And then Drake kind of went their own ways, and Drake has started to do, jack of all trades, master of none.
Right? Well, Drake wants to be that guy. Drake's want to be the best of the best. So what did he do? He separates himself from what we would call the best, or some guys that are doing it well. So he wants to do an R&B album.
Okay.
Separate himself. I want to be by myself, bro. I want to do this for myself. My lyrics, my voice, everything. I would do the same thing.
Yeah, and The Weeknd and Drake are pretty much almost in the same caliber as far as subject matter are concerned too. So, honestly, they kind of do eat off each other. The Weeknd pretty much branched his success off of his exposure from being featured with Drake. Mm-hmm. So, the fact is, The Weeknd's going to go ahead and do his own thing. He has to grow as an artist, just like how Drake pretty much, when he was being mentored by Lil Wayne, how he was branching out and doing his own thing. And see, because they're in the same caliber, I feel like if they still collaborated, they both wouldn't really get too far. Yeah. You know what I mean? And branch into their own, creative stature as artists.
What he really means, they both soft. By them both being soft, they make the same type of music.
They're both very, very vulnerable people. They seem like they will break if I tap them on the shoulder.
Drake the type of nigga, if you tap him on the shoulder, he'll crack.
He will fracture. He'll cry about it. The Weeknd actually sounds. I love The Weeknd's music, but man, yes, he sounds like he would break really bad if I were to just tap him. Hey yo,
Alvin.
Yo, your shoes are tight.
I feel you. So the big question I think on everybody's plate, especially with how well this album is done in just its first week, do we already have a contender for album of the year? Especially with this year being full of really standout hip hop albums. Do you think we already have something that's going to be getting a lot of heat when the Grammys come back around?
Yeah, he already been nominated once, and this album is no different from Take Care. It's a great album. It has a lot of different tracks. It has a lot of different feels. Album of the year contender, I can give him that. I'm not gonna say he's gonna win, but I would definitely say he's on the list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely would say Nothing Was the Same would definitely be up there as far as album of the year concerned. If not, at the Grammys, if it's snubbed for that nomination, definitely best rap album. Definitely has some good cuts that are worth, R&B, rap collab, or best rap solo performance. I think he's definitely a contender. And he's definitely going to be on those top album lists in those publications too. So you got to keep it those year ends. Those year-end publication lists are big deals.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I can
they're
see
really
it being
big.
top 10.
But let's not forget all these other albums that came out. So I don't know. I mean it's kind of pushing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have, I think, a lot of people in this current running that, I mean, they've had their fair share of snubs, and they have really shined this year. I mean, Yeezus did really well. The Gifted did really well. Born Sinner did really well. Even Magna Carta, Holy Grail.
Yeah.
So you have all these people, and I just, there's something about Nothing Was the Same where it feels like, I don't know, Drake just almost seems like the crowd favorite, you know?
I don't know if I agree with you on that. Magna
mean?
Carta, Holy Grail, everyone was talking about that album. I mean, from the time that he said it was gonna drop, he's like, man, I'm making this album. Everybody was on his job. I mean, everyone. I was even on his job. And when it dropped, it was a great album. I would definitely say Magna Carta, Holy Grail is going to be in that nomination. Best album of the year.
See, I think, because I'm looking at it through like a critical perspective. I mean, it's actually, I looked at the reviews for this album too, and it's actually really polarizing. Like, you know, people really loved it and they really hate it in that sense, but at the same time, that's how Yeezus was. But I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like Yeezus might be up there before Magna Carta, Holy Grail. I mean, maybe.
Honestly, I would put Magna Carta, Holy Grail at the bottom of that list.
Wow. I see. That's
It's on the list. It's on the list. But think about it. Born Sinner dropped the same week as Yeezus,
Okay.
especially after the Sideline Story to come in at number 2
That's
and
fine.
same kind of critical acclaim as Nothing Was the Same.
Okay.
You got The Gifted, which was a little bit. It didn't get quite as much shine, but I've always had super duper respect for Wale with the way that he rhymes,
Okay.
especially compared to his peers on MMG. Like, we gonna compare him. I mean, Meek Mill. No, Wale is clearly winning.
Okay.
So I mean, but it's something about Drake when I look at it. I don't know.
Drake appeals to more people. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
But Jay-Z, his bars, his songs, everything came together on Magna Carta, Holy Grail. That's all I'm gonna say. And Born Sinner, of course, I put Born Sinner over Magna Carta, Holy Grail. But to say Nothing Was the Same over both of them, I'm not pushing it.
I'd say
I can't say it.
both of them.
Okay.
I
Well,
can't say it. You're not gonna hear it come out of my mouth. Born Sinner was better than Nothing Was the Same.
Oh.
Straight hip hop
Oh.
over straight hip hop over R&B / pop / rock / hip hop.
okay.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Low end.
On
Big
the first
Ron.
episode. From Ron, Born Sinner was better than Nothing Was the Same.
Of course. So you telling me Born? Okay, so Yeezus was better than Born Sinner.
Yeezus was better than Born Sinner?
That what you trying to tell me?
Sonically, Born Sinner was better than Yeezus.
Okay.
But as far as concepts and like just laying out the album, I'd say Yeezus is better than.
Wow. Have you
What it
not
stands
heard
for.
Forbidden? Have you not haven't heard Forbidden Fruit?
I've heard Forbidden Fruit, and it was a great record. But I'm just saying, you can't really just outline the whole view of that album based off the strength of one song.
But just to mention, like y'all mentioned The Gifted in this category. I cannot give The Gifted that much credit.
I
for
can't
sure
give
put
it that
The
much
Gifted.
credit.
The Gifted having that many bars and having that many different concepts, and he got bars that go over your head. Of course, all right, we know that about Wale.
Yeah.
But the whole concept of the album was just not as great. I said great as Magna Carta, Holy Grail, Yeezus, which is clearly he's a wonderful artist. So I'm not gonna put The Gifted or Wale up there with him, or Born Sinner or Magna Carta. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Okay.
Clappers, come on now.
Clappers.
Okay, well, Nothing Was the Same indeed. We're going to have to clearly chop this up a little bit further. But you guys got to tune in next week to see if we talk about it, if we move on to something else. The hip-hop world is always spinning. Leave it to us to bring it back down low. This is Matthew. See you guys later.
Peace.